have a wonderful lunch and learn for you with our expert Anna Ramondetta, who is talking to us about how you and your team can ditch the overwhelm and achieve more. Anna is the director of Luminus League. She is passionate about empowering leaders and teams to work better together. Over the years, clients have ranged from franchising startups to established SMEs through to well-known brand names such as Nestle, Dulux, Master Foods, and Mercedes-Benz, paving the way for Anna to build and refine a range of skills that are unique to her and invaluable to her clients. Today, she'll be chatting to us about the power of focusing on your most important strategic goals, how focusing on just one thing can take your business to the next level, how a solid system for you and your team to consistently get results on your most important strategic goals, how to drive accountability and results within your business. So Anna, thank you so much once again for joining us. I'll hand over the reins to you.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, everybody. Do you say happy lunchtime? I say happy. It doesn't feel like afternoon just yet. Happy lunchtime, I think. If you've all got your lunches there, that's fantastic. Thank you for having me, Kate, and thank you, Victory officers, and Lorena too, for inviting me along. Thank you for that great introduction as well. What I'm going to cover today really is a lot of the learnings and tools and tips that we can use to really help, especially in this different time that we're in now, really look at ways to minimize the overwhelm, focus a lot more, and get more done. So let's get on with it. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about ditching the overwhelm. I mean, let's face it, running a business is quite an overwhelming thing on its own, let alone with a pandemic being hit. And currently where we're sitting at the moment, there's a lot of change happening, and our overwhelm, if it was sitting at this level, has gone to just a completely different level now with having to deal with all the things that the pandemic's brought forward for us. But like Kate said, I am going to really focus on the power of focusing on just one thing at a time, which I think is really, really important. And then we'll go through a system that you can implement with your teams to also help them focus and make sure that everybody's on the same page, fulfilling the same strategic goals. And there's also a resource towards the end that you could email me, and I can email that out to everybody here that wants to use it as a document to do their planning. I work with a lot of business owners and their teams, and a big part of what we do is help them set that direction and minimize the overwhelm by setting some really clear goals. And then what we do is hold the team accountable. So come in on a regular basis and make sure that they're working on their strategic goals. And then what we also do is build that capability for the leaders to be able to deliver on those plans. So there's a lot of leadership training as well. So I really am looking forward to sharing some stories and some learnings with you. Our new world. Who would have thought, hey, that this is our new world or our new normal? That we're sitting 1.5 meters apart from each other, that we've got masks on, or some of us have masks on or not for us. I mean, this picture would have been bizarre a few months ago, and now we probably don't even, we flick over it and don't think anything of it. But really, this new situation that we're in has brought a new set of challenges and a new set of overwhelm. And I want to discuss that a little bit with you, because I think it's very easy to get caught up, especially in the socials, about, the COVID-19's hit and we need to pivot. And if you need to survive in business, you really need to move fast and pivot. And there's a lot of overwhelm just in that message alone, let alone, trying to deal with it yourself. So I want to take you through a little bit about what the change is and how it impacts us, and then some of the things that we can do to overcome it. I think in the poll we had what has been the biggest source of overwhelm during COVID. Have we got the results in there, Kate?
Sorry, we have a few results. So with the question, biggest source of overwhelm during COVID, uncertainty of future was the most voted, and the biggest challenge was too many distractions and goals and consistency.
And consistency, great. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, uncertainty. I mean, gosh, that puts the fear of God into everybody, not knowing, you know, and just to think about it, you know, a week before the restrictions were announced, I'm sure all of us were quite clear about what our goals are and what our plans were for the remainder of the year. And then that all changed overnight, literally. So it was something that we didn't see coming, and it hit us hard and fast. So, I mean, I don't know, for those of you that are aware of the BBC News clip of the gentleman there who was giving an update on South Korea on a very, very serious issue, mind you, and he had his family walking in on him, his two little kids walking in on him and interrupting him. But that became the new normal, you know, homeschooling, for instance, and trying to do our jobs from home with all these extra added distractions. I can say that I did do a happy dance this week when the kids went back to school, because it was one less distraction and something where I could just focus on getting some work done. So yeah, this is what we're dealing with. So like I said, it's overwhelming enough to run a business, let alone when we've got this, you know, when we're working from home, we've got kids at home, we're trying to learn technology, we're uncertain about where our next, you know, sales pipeline's coming from. There's a lot to deal with. And there's a lot to deal with on two levels. One, as an individual, and the next slide's a little bit about the business. So one, you know, our normal, the business that we knew ended, you know, or the way that we operated ended with the pandemic, you know. And with the announcement of the pandemic, there was a lot of feelings that we go through, you know, things like anger or denial or shock or frustration. You know, we've been working so hard and then this happens, and then it's like, oh gosh, what's going to happen now? And for a lot of us, we tend to move between endings to neutral zone. Some of us go from endings straight to new beginnings, but we're all on a different part of this curve. And it's completely normal to feel this overwhelm. I think, you know, as times, I know when it first happened for me, I couldn't do any work for the first few weeks because I was just shell shocked with, you know, what am I going to do now? You know, all my work, all my revenue streams had stopped overnight, and it was like, what am I going to do? But, you know, the fear of the future and so forth. So I would sit between these two, and then after a while, you can't sit in these two zones. You start to accept that this is the new normal and that you have to move out of the neutral zone and get into accepting that it's a new beginning, and that it's a time to look and reimagine, reset some new goals and reimagine the business that you're going to have moving forward. So that's just from an individual perspective, the change that we go through. From a business perspective, you know, our first reaction as business owners is to look at mitigating that risk, you know, mitigating risk, stabilizing the business, making sure that we're looking after our teams, and making sure that any unnecessary costs, for instance, we don't spend on those. It's purely a survival mode. And then as we build a little bit of resistance and resilience with the new situation, and an acceptance around that this is going to be the new way of operating and that we need to rethink things, then we start to be a little bit more creative, and start to get into the zone of reimagining and reforming of what this new world's going to be like for us and our business. So I think it's really, really important to accept that, you know, this is different, and it's okay to feel the way that you feel, and that everybody's on a different trajectory. And let's face it, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I want to reinforce that message. I think it's really important to reinforce that the business you had pre-COVID wasn't something that you attained or that you got because of 1 or 2 weeks of what you did 2 weeks prior to that. You know, it was years of building strong, really reliable relationships that develop the results that you've got now. So it, you know, the success of what you're going to do post-COVID or in the COVID era doesn't depend on what you do in the next couple of weeks. So I just want to reassure everybody that it's now time to really take your time and really reflect, and then move forward and set some really good goals that you can work on. And that's what I'm going to talk you through. So moving forward, what are we going to do now? What happens now? And I just want to give you a guideline and talk you through this particular diagram here. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about is these are all the different stages and the different levels that we need to consider when we set our goals in order to be successful. One is to set some long-term, but also some short-term goals, but really make sure that we keep them very finite. You know, our strategic goals should be few and really focused, and I'll give you some guidelines on that. Then we need to have a really solid plan that supports how we go about achieving that particular goal. Underneath the plan is a new set of habits, and that's where a lot of us fall down. Yeah, so we can set the goal you know, and do that quite well. I suppose the biggest challenge is really focusing on just one or two goals that we're going to focus on. Our very nature as entrepreneurs and business owners is that we've got so many ideas. But to really focus on one idea, one or two ideas, we can work out the plan. You know, we can get our collective group together and work out on a really solid plan. And then it's the habits. We need new habits when we set new goals in order to get new results. And that's where we tend to fall down sometimes. So it's about setting new habits. And I'm going to talk you through these first 3 steps: how to set the goals, what kind of a plan to have in place to make sure that you and your team are working towards it collectively. And third, what sort of habits do we need to put in place? Underneath habits, again, on a subconscious level, we need to have a belief that we can achieve these habits. And that we can achieve these particular goals. And underneath those beliefs, we need to have a really strong, compelling reason for wanting to achieve that goal. What is our why? What is our mission? And are our goals aligned with our purpose? So it's really important to look at this pyramid, and I'll revisit it for you. But the 3 things that I'm going to really hone in on today is how to set goals, the plan, and also the habits that we need to start putting in place to help us fulfill those goals. Okay. Alrighty, now here's a system. I don't know if, how many, there might be some people out there, please let me know in the chat, where if you've read the 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's a Covey book. So it's Chris Mackenzie, Covey, Sean Covey, and I'm not sure on the other gentleman's name, but they've come up with a 4-step process on how to achieve your goals. And there's 4 disciplines to fulfill here. 1 is to focus on what's widely important, and they use an acronym of WIGS, so widely important goals. What are your most important goals? 2 is to, once you've determined what your widely important goals are, 2 is to then really focus on what are the activities that are going to help you move closer to achieving that goal. And again, that is a bit of a process of selecting some really finite activities that you're going to really focus on that, you know, really help move you closer to that goal. Third discipline is about making sure that you have a compelling scorecard. He uses this wonderful analogy of players play differently when they're keeping score. Players are a hell of a lot more engaged when they know what the score is, and they can peek and see whether they're winning, or, you know, or whether they're not winning, and what they need to do to really narrow that gap and get to achieving that goal. And the 4th discipline is really about building a culture of accountability with your team. You know, how do we keep each other accountable? And that's about building a really solid habit of having weekly meetings, structured meetings, where you just talk about that one goal, and that's all you talk about. And I think that's really important, that you just focus on that one goal. So I'm going to take you through each of these, and there'll be some really handy hints and tips for you to take into your own workplaces and start implementing. I'm going to preface it with saying it's not easy, because anytime you try something new, you know, it's trying to get yourself into that habit. It's about changing behavior. But I do promise you this, that if you do focus on just that one goal and following a really simple process like this, that you will see a lot of momentum being built towards achieving your goal, and you'll start to see that the overwhelm will be minimized. And that's really important. Okay. Alrighty. So discipline 1. Focus on our widely important goals. And you did talk about being distracted, I think, before. That was some of the things that came up from the poll as well. And that's very easy, because, like I said, as entrepreneurs, we're very much about ideas. You know, we've got so many of them. But the reason why we should really keep it finite and to 1 or 2 strategic goals is because we've got our day job. You know, we've got our day job with the things that we do day in, day out, that we've still got to run the business the way we've always run the business. So we can't put our energy, you know, we can't have more than really 1 or 2 goals and run a business. And be engaged in this whirlwind. That's what they call it, the whirlwind of running a business. You know, all the things that call upon you or are urgent, that call for your attention. So with goals, they're the important activities. And we know that if we work on important activities, they're the things that are going to help us achieve our goals. And really, we need to allow or carve out in our diaries 20 to 30% of our time, scheduling time for just working on those goals. And that is a very important takeout, that, you know, we have got our day-to-day jobs to run. So we do need to carve out the time, the 20 to 30% here, to actually allocate for achieving those goals. here's another really great visual here in terms of we've only got finite energy. You know, if we think about it, we've only, you know, how much headspace have we really got to handle 3 or 4 multiple projects or 4 specific goals, you know? And imagine if you put all the effort and all your energy in just trying to fulfill one goal at a time. And that's the key thing here, one goal at a time. You can have 4 goals over a year, but my recommendation, my strong recommendation is that you focus on one goal at a time. And that's the key operative word, at a time. So if you're focusing on one goal over the next, say, 3 months, it's just that one goal you work on. And then when you're trying to engage your team in on that goal and get their buy-in, how much easier is it to get their buy-in when you're just focusing on one goal? You're having one lot of communication about one goal. You're not having 4 separate meetings about 4 different goals. The truth is that when we split our time across trying to achieve 4 separate strategic goals plus run the business, we're only really doing a disservice to ourselves and to our business and to our team, because we can only put a little bit of energy in this one, a little bit of energy in number 2, a little bit of energy in number 3, and so forth. And what happens? The year finishes and we haven't fulfilled those 4 goals. So it's really a mind shift, a mindset shift here about going from multiple strategic goals to one. So one goal at a time. And then in terms of the way we plan our day, we look at, okay, one big picture goal. And then right now, what's the one thing that I can do in my whole day? So if you look at 20% of your day, what's the 1 or 2 things that I can do today that's going to help me moving closer to my big picture goal? And that's the mindset that I want everybody to adopt, that it's really important that we do one thing at a time. Here's a really good quote, you know, that when you work on more than one goal, you're really, what you're doing there is you're doing a disservice, exactly what I said earlier on. But I think the other thing too is to really remember that it's okay to have lots of ideas, but we've got to weigh that up with the capacity to execute and implement it. And like I said, if we don't have the capacity to execute, then there's no point. All we're doing is demotivating ourselves and our team and really setting the business off course. But here's an idea about an idea, but create an ideas vault. Ideas are precious, you know, and I think every time we have them, we need to acknowledge them and accept them and put them in a vault. And a vault that we keep opening and tipping into. And that could just be an Excel spreadsheet, or it could be a PowerPoint presentation, or just a Word document that's shared somewhere centrally where you have an idea about a particular goal and how to fulfill it. We capture it. And then what we do is every 6 months, if we need to tap into that ideas vault and find inspiration for, you know, what's our next project going to be on, or what's our next goal, that we go into our ideas vault. So it's really, really important we don't discount them, but that we embrace them and that we cherish them. So one thing at a time. Again, that's a whole mind shift. What do you need to focus on right now? Here's a really powerful question. What do you need to focus on right now that's going to move the needle for you, that's going to get you closer to that goal? What's that one thing? You know, if you really stopped and thought about everything and thought, you know, if everything else stays the same right now as it is, and I had to just put my energy into one area of my business, you know, which area would that be that would generate the most results for you right now? So that's what I'm going to get you thinking, and that's what this whole webinar is about. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to remove this. I've got the quick poll, and I'm trying to get it off my screen. It's gone. Excellent. Okay, here's a great quote that I found in a lot of my reading, and it's by a coach, and I love it, and I think we can really apply this to business, and it reinforces that one thing. But it says, one of the teaching skills that's developed in good coaches is the concept of one fault and one correction. So if you look at it here, it says, attack it from different angles. Okay, here we go. The idea is that you take the most important correction needed and you just focus on that one thing. Attack it from different angles if needed, but be tenacious on correcting the biggest fault only. And that's the key word there, only. Once that's been achieved, the coach and athlete can move on to the next biggest fault, then the next, and so on. You know, never-ending journey towards excellence. And I thought that was a beautiful quote that encapsulated the way to approach business. You know, one goal at a time, and tackling the biggest goal. So that you know, that's a challenge in itself. Really trying to prioritize what's the most important. But boy, it's super important. Okay, so focusing. I mean, one thing is to really reflect, you know, and that's the key thing that I would recommend here is sit down with your team or your colleagues if you don't have a team, or your most, you know, trusted advisors and network, and look at your business right now at this point in time during COVID. What are your strengths, you know, and how can we leverage those strengths that we've got? What are our weaknesses, you know, and are there some really gaping holes there that we need to plug in? So that's our internal environment. And then externally, what are some opportunities that are presenting themselves at the moment? I know for me in my business, you know, the virtual world's opened up my world in terms of my customer base. So from maybe just being Melbourne focused or state focused to nationally focused to the world's your oyster, you know. So the virtual component and technology has really opened up a lot of opportunities and markets too. So what are the opportunities? There's lots of opportunities for innovation in terms of online learning and courses, and just look at all the immense learning that you've done so far in your business to deal with what's going on at the moment, and how can we use that? How can we use that to the best of our ability? What's some new product innovation or service innovation in order to you know, encapsulate what's going out there in the marketplace? And again, look at ways to mitigate. You know, has this pandemic also exposed some threats to the business too, you know, and one of the most obvious is obviously the need to automate or embrace technology, or just get our service to another level. But really reflecting now is really important, you know. And another thing that I would also talk to you about, and I will email, for those of you that are interested, I'll email these documents to you. So the first one's part of a planning document that I've got that will help guide your discussion with your team. And this particular document's what we call the client empathy map. And this is another great tool to use to reflect on what are your customers' needs right now at this point in time during COVID, because they would have changed, you know. So here, again, a very simple document, but it's who are we talking to now? Has our audience changed? Have we got new markets that we need to consider? And what are their goals now? What are they trying to do now? Because you will have found that for a lot of your customers, it would have changed. And for your clients, their goals are different now. And how can you best accommodate those? You know, what are they trying to do? You know, number 3, 4, 5, and 6 is what is their external environment. So what are they seeing out there in the marketplace? What are the messages out there? You know, what is it that they're seeing out there from your competitors as well, you know? And then the other part to really consider is getting inside their head, and these two areas here, the pains and gains. What are their specific challenges now? Where are they really hurting right now? And then what are the gains? What are the benefits that they're looking for? What are the potential solutions that they are looking for? And it's a really good opportunity to relook at your offer and ensure that it still resonates with your audience. And if it's a different audience, then you've got a different offer. So this is another really good tool to sit down with your team and use it as a real reflection tool. I mean, I really love it. You know, again, you know, getting on the phone with your actual clients and really listening to them and asking them questions around what are your goals now, and what are some of your key challenges right now in your business and in your industry, and what are some of the things that you're looking for, and just using it as an opportunity to really get a rich understanding of who you're serving out there in the marketplace is really important. So that's called the client empathy map, and I will send that through to you. It's done by the Business Innovation Company, and it's a tool that I've used and borrowed and changed a little bit, but it's definitely an awesome tool that I use on a regular basis. So the key questions, again, these are wonderful questions. If every other area of your business remained at its current level of performance, what are 1 or 2 areas where change would have the greatest impact? Again, looking at your current situation, looking at where you can leverage strengths, work on areas of improvement, or is there new things that we can try? You know, that's another thing to really consider. And also areas to what do we let go of now? You know, maybe some of our processes aren't quite serving us, or adding to the overwhelm that we need to ditch. Can everyone let me know, is the pace okay, or am I going too fast?
It's perfect pace for me. I did have a question from Daryl, who's just raised his hand.
Sure.
Daryl, I'll allow you to talk if you want to, because I didn't see your question come up. I've also got another question from Brendan. Are you
Sure.
happy to take them now just in case they're kind of relevant to what you've just been talking about?
Yeah, look, if they are, there's a few slides to get through, but sure, if they're questions relevant to what I've said, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Oh no, Daryl's just said no question yet. Sorry, Daryl, you just had your hand raised, and so did you, Brendan. But you know what? They've lowered them. If anyone does have, I'll just let everyone know. I'll come back on. If anyone does have a question, please, just add them to the Q&A box. We will get around to answering them. I know there's so much information. Anna's done an incredible job, and I'm over here with all my notes as well.
Well, look, I'm happy to send the slides too. So I'd rather, for people to really just focus on the material and let me know if I'm going too fast, because there is quite a bit in here, and some of the concepts do need a bit more time to sort of grasp. But yeah,
we'll at the end of this, we'll also make sure that Anna includes all of her information so that everyone can get in touch with her after this. She'll, as she mentioned, send out the empathy map and so forth later today, and we will have a recording of this available. But excellent. Sorry for interrupting. I'll let you.
No, not at all.
I'll let you keep going.
It's absolutely fine. Excellent. Okay. So they're really good questions to ponder and think about when you're sitting down with your team, reflecting on your current situation. Now, when we're putting our goals together, I'm sure a lot of you would have heard of the acronym SMART, about them being really specific, measurable, achievable goals, realistic, with a little bit of a stretch, so they're a bit challenging, and with a deadline. But I think there's a good little formula here that I want to introduce you to, which is, you've got to, and let's look at this particular formula here, which is insert the verb. So begin the actual goal with the verb. So is it to reduce, to improve, to increase, to grow, to gain, to reduce, to lose? What is it? What's the action word? And then write it in this particular formula, from X being your current situation to Y, which is your future situation, by the deadline. Yeah, so that makes it super, super specific. Insert the verb from X to Y by Z. Yeah, so from our current situation to our new situation that we desire by such and such a deadline, right? Simple and clear. If goals are clear, then the team is really clear and everyone's got clarity. That's half the battle. That goals tend to be quite vague or wishy-washy, and we don't know whether we're meeting them or we're not meeting them. So I think that's really important. When you're writing your goals, keep it in this particular simple formula. What I notice when I'm working with business owners and their teams is that sometimes they even put the strategy in the goal. Don't do that. Don't give me the how, just give me the what. So insert. Don't say I'm going to raise sales from 10,000 to 20,000 a month by the 30th of August 2020 by social media marketing and doing lots of website improvements. Like, don't give me the strategy with that. Just keep it really simple on what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. Make sure your goals align with your purpose. Does it fit in with the purpose of the business? And here's one key thing. You will start to see, if you follow this particular system, that you'll start to see some positive results. You'll start seeing that you're making really good movements towards your goal. This is a danger zone though, because what I've noticed with lots of business owners too is they get really excited. Oh, this one's working. Right, now I'm on to the next goal. And they set another goal with another plan, and it throws the team off. If there is positive results and you see them early on, just keep going till you see it to its full fruition. So it's just a warning, because people, I notice that, I get really excited, go, right, we're on the road there, Anna, and it's like, no, just stay on the road. It's really important. Don't lose track. So that was the first discipline of how to really focus and pick one area that's going to make the biggest impact on your business. The second bit is to understand what they call, what Chris McKenzie from Four Disciplines of Execution talks about, is lag and lead measures and why they're important for success. So lag measure is the big goal, the revenue goal, the sales goal. Like, they're the tracking measures of your widely important goal. Your savings. It might be a savings goal or a profit goal or a weight loss goal or customer satisfaction goal, whatever it might be. So this is the rock, the big rock, right? The lead measures, also with the lag, it's historic. So anytime we look at it, we look at our revenue report or our sales report, we're reading at what it is at that point in time. We can't really influence it when we're looking at that particular report. But what they talk about here is focus on the lead measures, which are the activities that are specifically tied in to helping you move this big rock. The activities that, you know, will predict the success of the goal, and activities that you can influence, you know, that you and your team, actions and activities that you and your team can influence, that you know will move you closer to that goal. So if we talk about, say, something like weight loss, for instance, weight loss is the goal, but the levers or the lead measures, we know it will predict weight loss of things like counting your calories or eating lots of fruit and veg and proteins. And another lead measure might be, you know, exercise. We know that if we exercise, eat well, and count our calories, for instance, and if we just focus on those activities, we will get to our weight loss goal. Now, depending on the goal, that will determine the intensity of the activity. So whether you're trying to lose 5 kilos or 10 kilos, for instance, you'll vary the lead measures or the activities to really help you get there. So that's a really good way of explaining it. And the key too is that what they talk about in this methodology is focus on the activities and track those, and not so much the lag activity, the goal. That if you keep focusing and making these a habit, you know you'll get there. And that's a really, and again, another mind shift. Focus on the activities that will get you to where you want to be. A perfect example is the COVID example. And if I think about the big job that the government have had about trying to get the whole nation behind flattening that curve, the goal is flattening the curve. And they've been very clear about what some of the key lead measures or activities are about helping us to do that. So we've had some really good, simple, powerful messaging around, you know, washing our hands, the social distancing, you know, the isolation and working from home and so forth, right? And that's what we need to track. You know, that's what they keep hammering home day in, day out, every single day, to make sure that people are following those activities, because it's those activities that will help us flatten the curve, which is what we've successfully been able to do. But imagine what a massive team Australia is, and the enormous job, communication job they've had about getting everybody on board to fulfill that one specific goal that they kept drumming into our heads. I just thought that was a brilliant example of lag and lead measures. Here's another thing to really look at too. Once you've defined your lag measure, and this one tends to be around sales, and I've just made it up, and well, it's an old table that I've got there. But if it's about increasing revenue, for instance, so we've got, you know, increased revenue from, you know, by 25% from 1 to 1.25, and say it should be December 2020, for instance, right? The next thing to do is really do a brainstorm on all the potential lead measures that you and your team have got influence over, right? And then prioritize them in order of which ones are the most effective, you know. And then what we'll do is we'll create an action plan where you can assign particular lead measures or activities to different team members, and then get together on a regular basis to make sure that you are fulfilling those. But it's really important that we fixate our energy on tracking the measures and the goal. We still keep our eye on the goal, obviously, without a doubt, but we are very, very diligent in really keeping a very super close eye on the measures. So when choosing the right one, what do we need to do? Consider all the possibilities, like I said, consider everything and rank it by impact, and really ask yourself if it is predictive, if you do have influence over it. If you don't have any control of it, it's not a measure for you to follow through or anything like that. But also consider, is it easy to measure? Like things like sales are pretty easy to measure. Health and safety is a little bit harder to measure, you know, or employee engagement might be a little bit harder to measure, for instance, or customer satisfaction. But you know, it really pays off to spend some time really thinking through, are the measures predictive, influence? Can I measure them? Is it an easy thing to measure? And how do we go about trying to measure it as well, which I think is really important. So this is just an example of the sales performance pyramid that I found. But, you know, it's this activity here. You know, there's so much that we could be doing to generate sales. Which of these have the highest impact? You know, and I think it's really important about spending time narrowing your focus on those activities. again, these are questions that I'll send through to you too. But again, when we're trying to really fine tune which activities do we focus on, all our energies on, remember we've got the day that you and your team have got the day-to-day job. So 80% of your time running the business and doing your normal jobs. And then how are we going to spend that 20% of our time fulfilling our strategic goals? And these are some questions to ask when you're trying to choose a lead measure as well. Like, you know, what can we do that we've never done before that might move us closer to our goal? Or are there strengths that we can leverage within the team? You know, somebody's particularly strong in marketing. You know, can we really tap into that resource and help us elevate our awareness out there in the marketplace? Or is there an area of improvement that we really need to nip in the bud because we know it's going to elevate us from A to B, for instance? Yeah. And then choosing, you know, 3 to 5 activities. Look, even if it's 5 or 6, say, but just making sure it's a finite number. And that they're the ones that we focus and they're the ones that we track, because you want to keep the communication simple. So like the COVID message, you know, they could have come up with so many other strategies, but they chose the ones that had the highest impact and really kept drumming that message into the Australian public's minds. And that's what I want you to take from this as well when we're running the business, when you're running your business. Here's an example of, it's a case study. I worked with a finance broker and their team now for the last 3 years. And this particular goal was around, it was based last year, and it was the aftermath of the Royal Banking Commission. And there was a lot of fear around the future of finance brokers. But one thing that this team struggled with time in and time out was focusing and consistently implementing on those strategic goals. So they had a really clear revenue goal here. They wanted to increase their settlements from 9 million to 12 million by June 30, 2019. But then so that's the big wig. I love that term, the big wig. But then each of the team members, there was team wigs. So from the big one, each department had their own specific wig or goal that was tied into helping drive the settlements and increase the settlements. So they worked out very early on that if they minimize the process time from lodgement to approval from X time to Y time, so whatever their times, the specified time was, that they would be able to settle more, a lot more quicker. They worked out that their net promoter score needs to get to 90 to get more business in the door. They worked out that if they got 6 internet inquiries a month, that would also help them increase settlements and get new business. And the other thing that they put in place was they were going to focus on making 20 calls each and every month between the team. So the big wig and then the subsidiary goals need to tie into that big wig. And then from that, each of those team wigs, right? So there's the next 4 slides are, there's the wig, there's the action plan. So these are the specific measures that they're going to work on. So there's 6 in this particular one on how to minimize the time from lodgement to approval, because there was a lot of hold up with the banks holding on to loan applications, for instance. And this is what they were going to do. They were going to book in a lender training session. They were going to update the information table and make sure it was current. So when they were talking to clients, it was current information. They were going to run daily stand-up meetings to make sure each and every one of them knew where they were at with all the client files, because they identified that as an area of weakness. So it's a very simple plan, and you can see it's just a table format, but they would sit once a month on this particular one and call it the team project lunch. They would talk about it every week, but once a month they'd sit down and have lunch and say, okay, let's look at the big picture goal. How close are we to achieving it? Let's look at these specific lead measures. Do we need to change any of them? How are they working? How are we proceeding with them? But forcing themselves over lunch to do this has been a wonderful exercise and a great team building exercise too. And you can see each member of the team's got a role to play. So together as a team, we're fulfilling the strategic goal. Again, this is just some activities on NPS, asking for a testimonial every time they've congratulated a client and the client's happy. There's ways of how they're going to go about getting their 6 internet inquiries, for instance. So Kathy, being the marketing person, is going to commit to doing these particular activities each and every month to fulfill that goal. And the calls, making 20 calls, they split them up into existing clients and new clients. Again, very specific actions, and each and every person has got their roles and responsibilities mapped out, and this is what they talk about, and it doesn't really change much from that. The conversation then is steered around, well, hey, we only did 10 this month. Why have we only done 10? Is 20 too many? Or where do we fall behind? What do we need to change to get to 20? Because we know that's the magic number. And I think that's really important. So that was lag and lead measures. Lag being the big goal. And there's a lag to that because it's historic. We view it at a point in time and it tells us whether we're close or we're not close. But it's the lead measures that we need to keep religiously tracking to make that, because we know that if we do them habitually, they will get us to that goal. Keeping score, it's a great way to build engagement. The amount of business owners in their team or teams that I speak to that have no idea about the strategic goal or have a very vague version of even their own KPIs and their own goal is amazing, you know, and often the business owner feels that it's the weight's all on their shoulders, when really the best way to tackle this is head on with the team collectively as a group, you know. So keeping score is really important. And I love this quote by the 4 disciplines of execution, which is players play differently when they're keeping score. So I think, you know, if we know where we're at, we know this is where we are now, this is where we need to get to. We know, okay, here's the gap. This is how much harder we've got to really focus to close that gap. That is powerful. You know, imagine a game of footy with no scoreboard. You know, it'd be a different game of footy, that's for sure. And the scoreboard doesn't have to be difficult. In fact, I would encourage to get the team to score. You know, like for instance, you know, it needs to be easy. The scoreboard needs to be easy. It could just be a table like this, like a weekly sales activity scorecard that the team update and you keep on a central drive. You know, what is, you know, in this particular example, they've got particular activities and they assign points. So they use that as a bit of a motivation and a reward at the end for fulfilling those particular goals. But, you know, make sure that it's easy, because if it's difficult to keep the scoreboard updated, it becomes demotivating. And if it's not updated, it's a useless bit of information. And it does the opposite of engage people. It disengages them and disempowers them too, you know. But you should be able to look at it at any point and know whether you're winning or you're not winning. And with the finance broker team, they had what they called a dashboard, which looked at the amount of lodgements, the amount of settlements, the amount of calls, you know, a lot like this particular one here, really. They had the big picture lag goal, and then they had specific activities, and red was alert, we haven't hit it, and green was we fulfilled it. But keep it really simple, and the team did that. The team filled it in and presented it each week. So again, make it fun, make it colourful, you know, make it something that's easy, and assign it to the team. It needs to be compelling. It needs to be able to tell the health of the business at a quick snapshot. But the other thing I think from this slide to really take on board is it needs to be visible, front and centre. They need to be looking at it all the time. If it's not visible, it's forgotten, and that's really important. But yeah, play around with what's the best reflection for you, the best type of scoreboard. The other thing too is, and assign somebody to look after the scoreboard, like give it as somebody's responsibility to make sure that they champion it, and determine what the frequency is. That's also extremely important. Yeah, I called it the players scoreboard because if the team own it, they're far more engaged in it, you know, and it builds a bit of fun, competitive spirit, but more about, rather than competitive, more collaborative spirit, where they support. The discussions they have are all about supporting each other. You know, why haven't we hit that goal? What do we need to do to hit that goal? You know, it's a discussion around support and accountability, and that's what this cadence of accountability is. It needs to cascade from the big goal down to the individual goals, and the team need to be talking about it. But it's a conversation that you have on a regular basis. And this is one of the habits that I urge you to do, that each week that you set aside, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, where you just talk about this strategic goal, nothing else, not the day-to-day running of the business, just the strategic goal, right? And you look at the lead measures or the activities, you know, are they, you know, are they going to help influence the goal? You know, are they the right lead measures? How are we progressing on them? It's so important that they're the sort of conversations that we have, you know. Yeah, so each and every person gets up and says, in this particular meeting, for instance, these are the commitments that I said that I was going to do last week. So here are 2 actions that are coming out from my team WIG, right? These are the 2 actions that I'm going to commit to. This is what I said I was going to commit to. This is a report on how I went. and these are the next 2 actions I'm going to focus on next week. And you go around the table, and that's the conversation that you have. You know, what are 2 commitments? Report on the 2 commitments you did last week. What are 2 new commitments you're going to focus on this week, right? And that's a powerful conversation to have, because you're all talking about how you can collectively get closer to that goal and really support each other. So it's a weekly meeting, 30 to 45 minutes or an hour. An hour's a good time. Set that agenda. Again, two commitments, report on the last 2 commitments, 2 new commitments for the following week. Record the actions and decisions from that, and make sure you've always referred to that the next time around when you have your next weekly meeting. And schedule it. I want to share something with you. Get the team to treat it as just as important as a client meeting, in fact, even more so, right? But in their diary, they need to schedule commitment 1, so their action. So this week, I'm going to commit on Monday for an hour to fulfill that action that I said that I was going to do, right? And then on Wednesday again, that's when I want to set time aside to do action number 2 or activity number 2. And then every Friday, we've got our weekly WIG session where we meet up and we talk about those commitments and how we're tracking against them. Okay, so it's really important that you share your calendars and you schedule in your commitments, because if it's not scheduled, it's easily forgotten. And all of us know how easy it is to get caught up in that whirlwind of running the day-to-day stuff, all the urgent phone calls and all the actions that act upon us, you know, that are urgent. We can easily forget our strategic goals. So yeah, so I jumped a little bit ahead, but here's the agenda, and I will send it to you. Did I meet last week's commitments? Did they move the scoreboard? Yeah, and what will I commit to this week? Really, really important. When the team makes commitments, they also make a personal promise, and it's an accountability within that team environment, you know, and nobody wants to let the team down. But even if they didn't fulfill it, the conversation should be around, how can we support you to fulfill it? And was it the right one? So the discussions are all solution focused. How can we do this differently, or what can we do better? And I think that's really important. Equally important is to always celebrate the win. Once we've fulfilled that WIG, or even, you know, achieve that particular weekly task, that we acknowledge it, because that is really motivating, to know that, hey, we're succeeding here. We're moving along just nicely, you know. So I think that's really important. We tend to put all our energy in and doing all the hard work and then forget to celebrate. This is fundamental, and this is a habit that I think will really help support you in achieving your goals. But the benefits are phenomenal. You know, we've talked about being more collaborative and working better together, and they're more invested in the success because they've got a say in it and they've got a part in it. In fact, you can't do it without the team. But it allows creativity and conversations around making decisions, solving problems, a shared learning. This is what I experienced. I am so passionate about this, and this is one of the things that I keep coming back into to make sure that the teams are fulfilling, because as soon as this drops, then there's a loss of focus. So in summary, focus on your really important goal and resist the allure of jumping onto the next great idea. Put it in the vault and lock the vault until you've achieved this particular goal. You're building a habit, so you're changing behavior, and it's going to take practice, and you really need to commit to it because you're changing behavior. But lock it in the diary and hold each other accountable to making sure that those meetings are happening. Be patient with the results. Look at all the success you've had to date. Like I said, it hasn't been an overnight success. You've worked damn hard to get to where you are right now. And perform these 4 key strategies in sequential order. Determine the goal, work out which lead measures or which activities you're going to focus on, then build the scoreboard, keep it updated, and then have those meetings. Do it in that sequential order. Celebrate, okay, before you move on to the next one, make sure it's complete, and once you do that, you'll start establishing a new level of excellence, and the next goal will be a little bit higher. And you'll know the next time you go about achieving that particular goal, you've got this system and process, you know, and you've got an engaged team that really understand what they need to do and their part in it. Just conscious of time. I've only got a couple more slides and then we can go into some questions. Here's something that's really, really important. We talk about how to ditch the overwhelm, how you and your team can do it. But first and foremost, I think it's really important to understand that building focus or becoming really focused, it's like, you know, it's another muscle that we need to keep working on until it becomes a really strong muscle, because we do live in a world where we're easily distracted, and we've got social media and we've got our phones. I mean, we wake up looking at our phones. So we're so easily distracted and so easily overwhelmed, and add the layer of the pandemic on top. There is so much noise out there that's demanding our attention. So we really need to spend time looking after ourselves and getting ourselves focus fit. So focus on the fundamentals. So your mental well-being is really important, you know, starting your day right. And meditation works for some, or positive affirmations works for some. For me personally, I'll get up in the morning and do half an hour of reading. And that sets me up. You know, I feel quite right, inspired. Let's go. You know, it's my little medicine kick, little pick me up in the mornings. Physically too, you know, exercising and making sure that you're exercising and getting enough sleep. And emotionally too, making sure that you're establishing boundaries with people, that you're journaling some of your concerns. I mean, you can try any one. I'm sure all of you have got something that you use, but my point is you've got to build the capacity to be strong, because without you, there is no business. There is, you know, you can't even look after the team. So you've got to get the fundamentals right. So it's about making sure that you build the strength, and that right now, at this point in time, you know, I read one creative writer said, you know, this is a wonderful moment in time in terms of it's our ultimate creative prompt to do something differently. But I'd like to underline that, but it's really important that we look after ourselves first and make sure that we are physically fit and mentally fit to be able to embrace that creative prompt and really take it to that next level. So we've covered off goals, strategies, and the habits are some of those particular strategies that we need to put in place in order to revisit 2020. You know, it's a crazy year, but it's also an opportunity for us to do that, to reset 2020 and refocus and determine what's really important. And there's no better time than doing it right now and taking your time to do that. So that's the presentation. I hope I've given you quite a lot there to absorb, and I will send you that information. But please, I'd love to get any questions if you've got any questions. Like I said, I do appreciate that there's quite a bit there to digest. That's my email address there as well, and I will send you the Luminus League roadmap template to help structure some of those conversations, and also the empathy map too. So thank you so much. Thank you, Victory officers, and everybody there that joined us today. I really appreciate it.
That was incredible, Anna. I feel like, I mean, there was obviously just so much information there, but it felt so active. You know,
right.
I feel like that's one of the things that's happening at the moment, is because our goals are no longer clear, there's a lack of accountability. We're coming to work, or we're working from home, we're not feeling fulfilled. And this is just that perfect, as you said, what was it? Creative prompt to do something differently and to really reset those goals.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, God,
I've got to say, Kate, last night I was watching the project, and I don't know if anybody else watched the project, but they had the sisters Vika and Linda Bull, you know, and they were talking about isolation, and they're releasing a new album. And that's exactly what they said. They said we had so much time on our hands now that we decided to use this as an opportunity. And they've put enough songs for 2 albums, you know. So that was their creative prompt. And when you're faced with something like this, where you've got to actually stop and reflect, once you get over, you know, I showed you that change curve at the very beginning, all those range of emotions, it's very normal to just let yourself feel them, and then allow the opportunity for that new beginning, you know, for that creative prompt to appear, because it will appear. You're not going to sit in that slump for forever. You know, you're going to get tired of being in a slump, and you're going to be ready and energized. But it's important that we don't skip that as well, and think that we've got to pivot right now or we die. You don't.
No,
Rome was not built in a day.
No, you're exactly right. And I think this is really important information for anyone who's a leader, anyone who's running a business, anyone who is, you know, overseeing a department, because
yes,
I don't know, I just feel like, you know, the health of your employees is really important,
so
and keeping
important.
them on track and accountable. Does anyone have any questions? Please obviously raise a hand. I am slightly conscious of time, but that was a lot of information. Once again, it will be available. We do have a recording of it. We will make sure that it goes out to everybody, because I know that I'll need a couple of sittings just to kind of, I mean, there's so much homework.
There is. I mean, the key thing really is you know, it's spending time to work out what that one key, and it's one goal at a time. And that's the key operative thing, at a time. And then working out what activities you're going to focus on. keeping the scoreboard, and then having the regular meetings. You know, if people only take away those 4 things, it's powerful.
I just did a video recently, and it was about focus, but one of the points was Warren Buffett has this 5-list method. He very simply makes you write down your top 25 goals.
Yes.
They can be career, they can be life, they can be, you know, whatever it may be. And then he says, what are your top 5? What are your, you know, and then you've got a top 20 that's kind of somewhere over the side here. You throw out that top 20. You don't look at that top 20 until you've completed every single one of those 5 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I do have a quick question from Michael.
Yes.
He said, I came late, so maybe missed it, but curious to know where the term wilding important goal came from.
Yes, Michael, there's a brilliant book, and you know what, I should have had it on there already, but it's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's an excellent book. It's a really good read, and it's written by Chris. Actually, I'll send you that information too. I'll send it all to Kate. But it's by Chris McKenzie. And also Sean Covey, who I think is the son of Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Excellent book, you know, and really, and it's, you know, it's not an easy exercise by any means. Anytime we try to do something new, it's not easy, but those 4 steps are good to remember, you know, and really make a conscientious effort. And we don't want to be any more overwhelmed than we are.
No,
we don't, you know, just stick to one goal because you've got the business to run, you know, and you've only got finite bit of energy and time in your diaries to fulfill it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will send that information.
Thank you so much. Well, look, I've got lots of compliments coming in. Everyone's saying that's fabulous. David's just said, after a presentation like yours, Anna, we need first to decide to put aside time to dwell on what we've shared, on what you've shared. For me, I'll commit to putting this to put aside time this weekend. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you everybody for coming. Anna, aside from being able to email you there, where else can we find you?
Oh, yes. Well, there's LinkedIn, isn't there?
Yes, there's LinkedIn. Pop it into the chat box. For those of you who haven't, please put in your details, your LinkedIn details. Once again, I do like to share those details so you guys can network after today. I think it's really important to use this as a place to connect as well as to learn, especially during COVID. Is there anywhere else we can find you, Anna? Do you have a website?
I do. Sorry. So it's I should know that, shouldn't I? Luminus League. Now, Luminus is spelled without an O. So it's like this. So like my email address. So www.luminusleague.com.au.
Perfect.
And I'm on LinkedIn. So if you just type in Anna Ramondetta, actually I should put that in here, shouldn't I?
Put it in the chat box.
Put it in the chat box. Yes. There you go. Technology. Trying to learn all this technology. Where is the chat box?
But don't worry, guys. We will share all that information with you as well. So it's not running away. All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on your lunch break. It's always a pleasure, and I hope everyone has a fabulous day.
Yeah, lovely. Have a lovely weekend too.
See you, everyone. Yes.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.